I hope the audio and everything is fine. My apologies for starting a minute or two late there. I did have a little bit of a hiccup in our process, but hopefully everything is working properly now. My name is Voodoo Val, and I'm going to be your host this morning for another Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge. I'm very excited to be here. We have kind of a shorter challenge lined up for everyone this week because Adobe is going on break for the holidays. So we've got 5 challenges for you, and I'm gonna just jump right into our introduction this morning to make sure that everyone knows what we are doing, and then we can jump into what I actually have planned. Hopefully the music is not too loud. Sounds great. All right. Thank you, Celia. It's good to see all of you folks. For those of you who don't know what's going on, definitely head over to behance.net /challenge/Photoshop. I'm going to pull that up right here so that you folks can see what that looks like, and we're going to go over what our challenge is for today. So this is the landing page. Basically what we're going to be doing is every morning I'm going to be here at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and I'm going to be running you through a quick challenge that you folks can follow along with me and post your entry that you create with me into our Discord so that everyone can see your challenge. You get like a little how does it work spiel here at the top that tells you about how you'll receive the challenge, how you can join the community chat over on Discord, which is also right here. I can give you the link. bit.ly/PS Discord is our Discord link. And make sure that that PS is capitalized if you decide to type this in. Because otherwise it will send you to a different Discord. You have to make sure that it is cap sensitive in there. But you can join our Discord and post your challenge entry in there with us. Our Discord, let me pull up our Discord real quick so I can give you guys a little peek. Boom, boom, boom. So essentially, we have like a bunch of different channels here in our Discord where you folks can like chat with each other. You guys can ask questions. You guys can get a little bit of mentoring going on in here if you have any questions, or maybe you get stumped with your challenge. You guys can post in the current challenge thing here for the challenge that we're doing this week. But if you do go and back and do any of our previous challenges, you can always post in the past challenge here to still get some feedback from mentors here in the Discord. And today's challenge is going to be like double awesome because not only are we doing a challenge together and sharing our awesome work with each other to get feedback, today's challenge we're going to be using brushes to create icons and emojis, and I have been told that one of the emojis that the community creates is going to actually be chosen to be uploaded into Discord so that we can actually use it in Discord, which is awesome. That makeup though, thanks Philip, I appreciate it. I got all dolled up for you guys. Yeah, so that's gonna be pretty awesome. Yes, super double awesome. I've never heard anyone say super double awesome before, but I'm running with it. It's my new thing this morning. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump into what we are gonna be doing right after I read. Let me read the little spiel for today's challenge. It says, create custom emoji for Discord. Give your emoji custom flair by using brushes and gradients. This is gonna be super awesome. If you can't finish all of today's stream and you need to come back later, you'll be able to click this watch video button here, which will bring you back to the channel where you can watch the replay, and you can hit this get started button, which will give you the starter file that I have created for you this morning, which I think you guys are gonna love. I mean, it's pretty fabulous. If I do say so myself. I guess I'm a little biased because it's my own work, but I'm pretty pumped about this little guy over here. I'm sure you folks recognize him. Without any spoilers in chat, I'm sure everyone knows that the internet is calling him Baby Yoda. And he's our little icon that we are going to be working on today, or something similar to him. So for those of you who are following along, we're going to dive into brushes and gradients today, and essentially what we're going to be doing is kind of using brushes and gradients in a way that you can use if you do not have a stylist like me. I illustrate in Photoshop all the time. I can pretty much draw. If I hide this stuff here, I can pretty much come in. I'm going to make a new layer by going Control-Shift-In, and I'm going to hit B on my keyboard. and select a brush. I can pretty much come in and kind of draw whatever I want with my stylus. If I want to make like a heart emoji, I can start out with like a heart sketch or whatever. But most of you probably don't have a stylus. A lot of you guys are probably graphic designers, and maybe you don't use a pen in order to create your work. So what we're going to do is we're going to use we're going to mess with brush settings today. We're going to use it in a way that you can use with your mouse to create a cool icon, and we're also going to dive into texturing with some gradients. So the first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to grab a shape, because instead of illustrating with the brush, I'm going to be putting textures over some shapes to create an icon. So I'm going to grab my ellipse tool down here, and usually if you hover over these, it'll kind of tell you what the hotkey is for that. So if you click U on your keyboard, it will open up the ellipse tool. You can also right click and grab any other kind of shapes that you prefer. I'm going to use the ellipse because that's perfect for us, and I'm going to make like a little oval here. And I am going to transform this because I do want this to be a slightly different shape. I'm going to say Control T. I'm going to bump this into the center here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to hit Warp. And then I am going to grab this and I'm going to bump it up a little bit if it will allow me to do that, like so. There we go. Because I'm going to make a little baby Yoda head, like so. And I'm going to say yes. Now, here's where our brushes come in. I'm going to make another layer. I'm going to say Control Shift N. And I am going to hit B on my keyboard to get a brush. I'm going to right click because that's going to open up my brushes panel. And I'm going to select a soft round brush. This is a brush that is standard that comes with Photoshop. So you guys don't have to download any special brushes. And I'm going to make this super large. I'm going to hold Alt to sample a color real quick, and then I'm going to actually turn on my colors panel here, and I'm going to get a slightly darker green, and I'm going to kind of dot some color here. I'm just clicking on my canvas. And then I'm going to right click this layer, and I'm actually going to say Create Clipping Mask. And what that's going to do is it's going to make whatever I added here on this layer adhere to the borders of whatever is on the layer below it, which is great. So I don't have to actually erase or make sure that I'm painting perfectly. I can just make it adhere to that head shape that we have. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select both of these layers by holding Shift and clicking that ellipse, and I'm going to say Control G to group it together, and I'm going to double click this and call this head. And then underneath it, because Baby Yoda needs some ears, maybe we'll make his head smaller so that we can fit his ears all in the same canvas. Underneath it, I'm going to make another layer. I'm going to say Control Shift N. And if you want to get super fancy with this, you could actually use the pen tool. If you like to create some unique shapes, I'm going to grab my pen tool, and I am going to real quick just make a little ear shape. Like so. Boom. Maybe make that curve just a little bit more. Like so. And then I'm actually going to hold, let's see, let's hold and move this around. I kind of want to drag these around just to make this a different shape, because the shape is not as good as I wanted it to be. Let's remove that, and let's maybe bow this out just a little bit. There we go. That'll work. And I'm going to hit Shape over here to make that a little ear shape. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to duplicate this. I'm going to say Control J to duplicate that shape. I'm going to say Control T, and I'm going to transform this and make this slightly smaller. And then what I'm going to do is I am actually going to change the color of this shape. I'm going to change it to kind of an orangey color to give it like a little ear inner part here. And then I'm going to use the gradient tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go again, and I'm going to say Control Shift N to make a new layer. I'm going to maybe actually move this little orange part in just like that. And I'm going to grab my gradients. I'm going to right click. If you can't see your gradient tool, it's probably hiding behind the paint bucket tool. So you'll have to right click that, grab gradient. And then again, I'm just going to maybe come up here and make this a transparent, color to transparent. And I am going to grab maybe a lighter color than this orange. I'm going to go like that. And then again, I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna say create clipping mask and just make the inside of his ear a little bit lighter, just like that. And then again, we're gonna group because I love groups. I love keeping all of my little components of this icon all together. So I'm gonna make sure I have that topmost layer selected. I'm gonna hold Shift and then I'm gonna select the bottommost layer that I want to group together. And I'm gonna say Control G. And then I'm going to duplicate and flip this to create our other ear. So I'm gonna say Control J, Control T. I'm gonna right click this, I'm gonna say flip horizontal, and then I am going to drag this over like so. Boom. All right, so now we have our little ears for our little baby Yoda. And I'm gonna say Shift, and I'm going to click this bottom group here because I'm gonna group this together again, and I'm gonna call this ears so I know where everything is. All right, so now we've kind of used gradients and brushes a little bit to make, you know, this icon have like a little bit of depth, but there's still more that we can do with the brush tool even if you are not using a stylus. For example, if you want to add a little bit of details to this, like, let's see, let's add, I'm gonna add a quick shape here. Again, I'm gonna maybe grab a darker color because we're gonna put some eyes, and then we're gonna actually turn the smoothing onto our brush, and we're going to paint with the mouse, but we're not going to have to worry about any jagged edges or strange artifacts because the smoothing is going to help us keep this nice and smooth. So I'm going to go like that. I think that's a good position for the eye. I'm going to say Control Shift in again. We're going to make a new layer. I'm going to preemptively put this on a clipping mask. I'm gonna hit B on my keyboard, and I'm gonna grab, I think, maybe one of these textury brushes. You folks can choose whatever brush you prefer. We're gonna put some eyelids on this eye. Now, you're gonna wanna come up here to the very top and change the smoothing on this, because if I don't have smoothing on, for example, let me select this color, let's get like a lighter green. If I don't have smoothing on, then if I try to use the brush tool with my mouse, it's gonna be kinda weird. You have very little control over it. But if you have smoothing on, let's crank that up. Then when you go in here and you decide to do a little sweeping arc with your mouse, it actually is quite smooth. It actually works very well. And you can turn this up or down to your liking, but I'm gonna give him a little top eyelid real quick. I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna say Control T and I'm gonna transform this to turn this like that a little bit. There we go. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with maybe a darker color, and I'm gonna give him a little bottom eyelid like that. Maybe a little bit smoother. I'm gonna turn the smoothing up even more to give me even more control over this. There we go, nice and smooth, nice and smooth. And then again, with our grouping, I'm gonna hold Shift, I'm gonna select all the layers that I'd like to group together. I'm gonna say Control G, I'm gonna say Control J because I want to duplicate this, and Control T to flip and transform and drag his little eyes out here. He's so cute! I'm gonna hold Shift and grab these two groups and group them together yet again. I'm gonna call these eyes. And then I'm even going to Control T again and free transform and maybe drag his little eyes to the center of our face like so. Boom. Now, we're gonna add a nose and mouth. And this is gonna be more brush, but we are actually going to freehand or free mouse this mouth with the smoothing on yet again. So I'm gonna say Control Shift N. I'm gonna call this features. And I'm gonna put some facial features here. I'm gonna hold or hit B on my keyboard. Make sure caps lock is not on, otherwise you will not see the shape of your brush. And with that smoothing, I am going to draw myself a little mouth, maybe a little corner, mouthpiece. I'm going to turn that smoothing down just slightly. Boom, like that. I kind of like this shape. Maybe I'll hit E on the keyboard to snag my eraser and erase out some of that, like so. And then I'm going to say Control J. A lot of duplication, which icons, I think that's totally okay. If things are symmetrical and perfect like that, you can just duplicate so that you're not having to illustrate the same thing twice and hope you get it right. I'm going to say Control T on that duplicated mouth side, flip it horizontal, and I'm going to bump it over like so. I'm going to merge it down. And then I'm also going to add a little nose shadow, like so. I'm going to duplicate this, free transform, flip horizontal, and grab our little nose. So that's pretty cute. It's not as detailed as I might have liked because we're very limited on time, but that's a super cool way you folks can use brushes and gradients to add some cool life to an icon, especially if you're not using a stylus. It took me forever to figure out how to do this when I found myself in a situation without a stylus. I was like, how can I still illustrate something when I don't have a stylus pen at my disposal, but I need things to be smooth and fun. If you folks want to continue to kind of dawdle around with your icon, you totally can. I'm going to pull up my first, I'm going to group all this together. I'm going to pull up my first little emoji try. I had a lot more time for this one. I added some texture in here by just taking the layer that I had my gradient on and actually setting it to a dissolve. So if you want to do that, that's cool. But I am real quick, I'm going to save an image of our Baby Yoda because I'm going to show you guys how to upload this real quick to Behance and to Discord so that you can share it with everyone. So I am going to go Control-Shift-S, or you can come up to File and Save As. I'm going to navigate to a good place to save it. I'm going to call it Baby Yoda. I'm going to save this as a JPEG. I'm going to hit save and OK. And then I'm going to come over to our Discord first. I'm going to make sure that I've navigated into current challenge, and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom. I'm going to hit that little plus button over there next to the text region, and it is going to open up a file for me, or a little folder on my computer, which it just did on my other monitor. I'm going to navigate to my Baby Yoda. I'm going to say open, and I am going to share with everyone. Are we all supposed to do a Yoda version for the challenge? Absolutely not. You guys do not have to do Baby Yoda if you don't want to. I just used Baby Yoda as kind of a cool, interesting design for the challenge demonstration. You guys are encouraged to create whatever you want because, as I said, your icons, one of the icons that you folks create for this challenge is actually going to be chosen to be added into Discord so that we can use it in our text messages to each other in Discord, which is super awesome. So whatever you guys think would be appropriate, maybe a heart, you know, a fancy heart emoji, maybe a cool face emoji that you folks wish that we had in Discord. It's going to be up to you folks. I believe we're going to be able to vote on which one we like the most. So happy designing to you. I can't wait to see what you guys do. I do have a couple more minutes here, so I'm going to also upload to Behance. Pull up Behance real quick. If you folks want to add to an existing project that you folks have started already for these Photoshop Daily Creative Challenges, or perhaps you need to create a new project, all you have to do is navigate to your profile. Up here you can say create a project if you have not created a project already. I already have created a little project for myself that I can edit. I'm going to come over here, I'm going to hover over this gear and hit edit, which I'll be able to open what I have already created. I'm going to hover down here in this empty space and say insert media, and then I'm going to navigate to my little Baby Yoda image, and I'm going to say okay. I'm going to bump it in so it's not so large, and then I'm going to say save. And now when I go to my profile and I come over here and scroll down to where my PSDCC is, I can open it up, and then our little baby Yoda icon will be in there. So experiment, guys. See what you can come up with. Remember to turn on smoothing for your brushes if you don't have a stylus. You guys can also, maybe I can show this off too before I leave, because I do have a couple minutes. If you are wanting to get even more in depth with what you can do with the brushes, you guys can also edit the brush options or brush settings. If you go into your individual brushes, you can just press this brush, this little folder with a brush on it up here. You can select individual brushes from your brush panel here, and then you can come in and you can actually edit shape dynamics. You can add texture to it. If you have a texture that you'd like to add, you can come in and add a different texture to your brushes. You guys can do stuff like come in and add like a dual brush if you want. You can add smoothing directly to the brush. You can do all kinds of stuff and change what your brush looks like and maybe get some pretty cool effects that way as well. But that's all I have for you today. I hope you folks enjoyed it. Remember, if you create an emoji for this challenge, you have a chance to have your design chosen to be a permanent fixture in our Photoshop Discord. I can't wait to see what you folks create, and happy designing to you all. I'm gonna take off for the day, but remember, we actually have a full jam-packed day of design coming up after me today. We have a wonderful Photoshop design segment coming up right after me. Then we have the XD Daily Creative Challenge, followed by the XD segment, and it's going to be awesome. So definitely stay tuned, and I will catch you guys next time. Adios, everyone.